Hi all, I'm Vijay Jethani. I'm Cloud Solution Architect at Microsoft. So for today's hands-on lab, which is on NoSQL, we are going to implement the labs 6 and 7. So if you were there for the previous labs, I think we covered all till 1 to 5 from GitHub Actions, and then we covered 8 and 9 from the Azure DevOps perspective. So today we will cover 6 and 7 for NoSQL, which is based on Cosmos DB. So for 6 is for Mongo API and the 7th is on SQL API. Similarly, we will also have the hands-on lab on Azure DevOps. Again, the same thing. Only thing is here we are changing the workflow from the GitHub Actions to the Azure DevOps pipeline. Okay. Now, in interest of time for others who are joining us for first time, how you can create your personal GitHub account. You just have to go to github.com and create your personal account and follow the step-by-step instructions. For Azure subscription as well, if you don't have any other subscription from your partner or your own subscription, you can go and create the free account if you have not done so. Okay, so these are the two things which is a mandate for you to get started. And then now, as we are implementing these workflows, right? So the automation workflows are based upon the syntax. Okay, so you should know the automation syntax. So that is where I have kept the link on in this particular repository, which can help you getting started on the basics of how to actually create workflow. So before we go there, I just want to show you also one more thing, which is nothing but the service principal. Service principal is nothing but an automation account, which we use to authenticate, or I would say create services on Azure, update the services on Azure. So how we can create that? You can just go to the CLI or in your Azure subscription and just create a service principal with your subscription ID. So the only thing which you have to replace if you are doing at the subscription is your subscription ID. Similarly, if you are doing at a resource group level, make sure you give a subscription ID as well as a resource group while you create that. So output of that will be similar to this, the parenthesis which you look, and for that we have to create a GitHub secret. So while I show you the labs, I will also show you how actually you create the GitHub secret. Now these labs are actually organized in the respective branches so that we do one by one lab, and we also follow it properly, like which workflows are for which particular workloads. Okay. So if you see this is how it will look like at top. If I have to show you, this is how it will look like. All branches corresponding will give you one particular type of code and the workflows will be within that. So this is how to help you with navigating this particular repository. Now let's look at what that GitHub workflow syntax look like. Now, if you are starting first on the GitHub Actions, then you should know some of the basics. First of all, what is the file extension for those workflows? It's nothing but the YAML file. That is one thing to know. And then how to organize that. That means what will be the name of my workflow should be relevant to what you are doing in that particular from an automation per se. Similarly, on what particular trigger, that means how should I get this started? Okay, so that is an on, whether there should be push or there should be pull request. Pull request is nothing but the kind of a review which we want to have with our peers or maybe the application owner. So that is how this particular workflows are being organized. Like on push, this triggers that workflow to run based on the change of event for that particular file. Okay. Similarly, there is an also scheduled one, which I will just, which is kind of a maintenance work, which we do often at on respective times or respective days. Okay, so that is all also you can have as a kind of a trigger. Now to make this workflow further, what else we require is obviously what should we include in and what should we exclude. So for that, basically we need some kind of logic, right? So what to include and what to disregard, like kind of a documentation we can disregard, but while we are including our own code, then obviously we should have those in that particular workflow. Now here, this is a typical example of how the changes are captured, right? On push. That means if I write something to these branches, irrespective of whether whatever goes in the release branch, I should get the trigger. That means this workflow should run. Okay. Or the other way of looking at, not specific to something which starts with anything, ends with hyphen alpha. That means I don't want this to be triggered when it is in release branch, but however it is nothing related to release branch and it ends on that alpha. Okay, so that is how this is being read. This is read, exclamation is being used as a not here. Okay, so similarly, the simplest term, you can also use path include and path ignore. Okay, so equivalent to this, you can also use path ignore. That means for documentation, just ignore that whatever I changes, the workflow should not run based on that. Similarly, if I want to make the workflow run on a specific file changes, like say JavaScript or any particular file, then I should mention anything, maybe the name of the file, it should end with JS, and that is what I follow as a trigger. Similarly, you can just use again the way you use exclamation, exclude the docs and include everything apart from the docs. So that is how these all things get triggered. Okay, the workflow get triggered or the workflow get run. So this is a quite exhaustive document, like you can go through step by step, but just for you to understand, I think that is sufficient from starting perspective. Now we understood, okay, this is how it runs, but how will be the actual workflow look like will be the way name on. Okay, similarly, there will be the jobs under it. So if I want to show you, let me scroll down where I can show you the jobs as well as the steps under it. Okay, so this is how the jobs will look like. It runs on a specific, obviously, machines. So that is where Ubuntu or Windows or whatever that machine may be, and we will run some kind of steps. It can be command line, it can be our already built public actions. So that is what we are going to do in that particular workflows. Okay, so that is a brief of how you get started with workflow on GitHub Actions. Now coming back to our actual hands-on lab. So that's all you require for to get started, and all it is also on our repository. So now let's start with the lab 6, which is on Node.js and Cosmos DB. Now, what we are doing in this lab, we are actually creating an Azure services. Similarly, we are building the code which is on Node.js and Cosmos DB, and finally configuring the Mongo API, where we actually interact with that application using Mongo API and the Node.js. Okay, so that is how the is being constructed. Now, more important thing here to note down is what is our application look like. The important things, obviously Node.js, you will have the JavaScript files that will be there, but then what else on the database, because this session is more specific on how do we get started on databases. So there are two important files to look at. One is connection data.json, which is kind of a connector or connection string, I would say, which our application will use. So this is a connection string. Similarly, the database name and the collection name is written here. Okay, so this is the one file which you should note of. Similarly, whatever the operations we do, this is the heart of that particular application along the database. Okay, so this is how it is pulling out the respective strings which we are setting in the connection data.json. Okay, so from database perspective, this is what you have as a part of your application code. Okay, the rest all things, I think if you have worked on Node.js, I think you may be knowing the package.json on how you create the lock.json for dependencies and everything. Okay, so that remains same. Also, we are using Express.js as a web framework from the Node. So that is how that is all about from the application perspective. Now let's come back to the workflow itself. Okay, how the workflow looks like. Now I've just shown you the GitHub syntax, workflow syntax, but now this is more exhaustive example which we are going to implement here. Okay, now the name, obviously I'm trying to build on Node.js and Cosmos DB. I want to make sure that push only happens for branch, which is Express Cosmos DB, where we are here. Okay, and path, I'm very specific on trigger being generated using this particular readme file only, not anything else apart from this. That means only this file can create this workflow to run. Okay, apart from that, obviously the way you mention or way you specify your environment variables, we are actually giving the name to our websites. Now in my case it is Vijay Node.js Cosmos hands-on lab, that is HOL. Similarly, the path I have set, the versions and relevant location and all details which I need for from an Azure perspective. So this is something, the environment variables I'm defining here. Now structure of the workflow, once I do that, that means I'm through with the name, I'm through with the how do I trigger that, I'm through with the environment variables. Next thing which comes is how do you actually run those jobs. Now the job which I have is first of all set or make this repository available to the cloud machine, which we call also as a hosted runners. So I want to make sure this runs on Ubuntu machine, and I want to make sure this repository is available to that particular machine. So that is what I do with this particular already built action. Okay, now the next action or step which I can say is to set the node version. Okay, so this I'm doing again. This is an already built GitHub action and I'm setting the node version using that. Now, how do I build that code and make sure that particular code is being captured? Okay, so again, npm install and npm run build will provide me those particular application code which I need to run on that particular website. Okay, so this will get me that package which I want, okay, which can be deployed on the website. Now, apart from that, what we require here is like while we actually deploy that code, right? So we have to have the ARM templates. That means whatever the way you might be doing manually or you might be doing through the web base. So I'm capturing that ARM template, which I can use in this particular already built action where I'm logging using my actions deploy secret. Okay, and then once I'm logging to Azure, the next thing for me is to actually deploy those services. Now the services which I'm deploying here is the website and the Cosmos DB, which are a part of this particular template. Okay, so I can show you the template as well. So these are part of this web template and the parameter file which I'm trying to deploy on Azure. Now once I deploy that, I have the code, right? So we have also created the services. Now the next thing is how do I integrate with the Cosmos DB? For that, obviously I need to have the connection string. So the way I've said, the two important files, the connection data.json, I'm using one variable which is nothing but the connection string and replacing that connection string with the help of program. Like I'm first of all fetching that connection string, okay, using these command lines. If you see this command line, this is doing nothing but fetching the connection string, okay. And then this connection string is stored in a variable which I am substituting with the help of. Then I'm substituting that with help of the already built action, that is variable substitution in this particular file. Okay. And once I have this, then obviously the connection which I wanted is now set within the app service and the Cosmos DB. Okay. And everything from an API layer that are whether we are using MongoDB, SQL API or any other API that is already taken care while you create them and using the ARM template. Okay, so in Node.js, you said again, this is the same thing which we use for the build. You setting the node version and trying to build that and deploying the web package which we got from the build. Okay, so I'm just deploying that on the website. So this is what we are doing as a part of our automation from or connecting to the Cosmos DB using code. Okay, so database as code. This is how we are automating this particular workflow. Now let's see this in action. Okay, before we go there, let us also see the ARM templates, what that have in it. So this is the resources website. Okay, then another is obviously the application insights. Then this is again the farm name. That means the way we set up our app service plan. Apart from that, you see the database account. Okay, so this is how I'm creating those particular resources on Azure. So again, as I said, from the workflow perspective, they should only get triggered on this particular one file. So let's try to execute this. So we are creating, I would say we are running this workflow to create Azure services for Node.js and Cosmos DB. Okay, so just like what we are doing here, I'm just updating that README file. Once I commit that, it will is in that particular branch, which is Cosmos DB, and I'm updating the file which I have set for trigger in the workflow. So with that, I should get that workflow to run. Okay, so this is how the workflow is running now. So I have two jobs here within which we have set the steps. One is getting the build package built from here. Other is deploying your web app. Okay, so this is exactly the same steps which you have seen here. First of all, the repository is presented to the hosted runner, which in our case is a Ubuntu machine. And then after that, we are actually creating those particular web app with help of the service principal, logging to that service principal, using that service principal to Azure, and then making sure the code is available, and we are trying to create the services using ARM template, and followed by deploying of that particular web package, which we got from the build on this particular website. Okay, so let's look at this particular in action. And meanwhile, I have just also populated the resource group. So last time we did the SQL hands-on lab. So if you can see now, these were from the previous lab. Now there will be also one more lab coming up here, which will be on Cosmos and Express or Node.js here. So let us now first, it has created the resource group at this point of time, which is named Vijay Node.js Cosmos HOL. So website naming will also be by this name, that is to keep a naming convention in sync. Okay, so we now have one more resource group on for Node.js and Cosmos. Now the way it moves, like from an ARM template per se, it goes on deploying them one by one based on whatever we have as a configuration in that ARM template. This can take some time because the all particular layers, it will try to do that deployment, and then finally we also have to do after that. Once it is deployed, we will fetch the connection strings, update that and that respective file. So everything is done as a part of this particular workflow. Okay, so our app service is there now after app service plan. So we can simultaneously check those resource group. So that is what I'm doing currently. So these are the 4 elements obviously we require. So I think it should finish up soon. So we do have the API for MongoDB and app service plan and app services. Also, if you want to drill down in that particular template for each step by step, you can also go through the checks. Okay, so it will also give you the subtask within that. Now it shows deployment is complete. So that is also you can do that while it is deploying. Now with this, I'm actually trying to get hold of that particular file as well as the connection string. So this particular step is actually updated the file with the connection string variable which I've shown you by using this particular action. And then after that, obviously this is doing the build part and then getting the Azure Web App deployed using that particular whatever the build is available using zip deploy. Now this is kind of the way you deploy. Either you can use, if you are doing manually, you could have used FTP or even deployed through CLI or the different methods using your ID. So this we are doing directly from GitHub Actions using that particular ready built action for deploying on the website. So now this is complete as a workflow for. Now let us look at the app service itself. Let me go to that resource group and see if that app service is ready. Okay, so this is, you have to browse that particular, and as it is an express, this will take some time to load for the first time. In the future hits will be faster than this, but then as of now, once it is warming up, while it is starting and it establishes the connection with your Cosmos DB as well, because the backend, what I'm trying to use here is from that particular logic is I'm trying to get hold of the hits on this particular website and which I'm storing in kind of a key value pair as a count for number of hits on this website, which is stored in the MongoDB API layer of Cosmos DB. So once it loads, I think you will see the count, which is being shown here once this loads. Also, until it loads, I think you can also see there are no errors as such. So from the website health perspective, you are getting data in and data out. So I think it should be soon here. So here it is. Okay. So this is something the customized message I have put through, and we are running through the GitHub action. And obviously the Node.js and Express app is up and running. And as I said, this is being brought using key value pair, which is stored in Mongo API of Cosmos DB. Now, if you refresh this, if I keep on refreshing, the total visits keep on increasing. So that is what I want to show you, that it is being used now from the semi-structured data, which is nothing but the key value pair. Okay, so the moment you refresh it, it is increasing that visit, and they are persistent until you delete this particular website. This will remain as it is. The previous whatever the hits are stored in that particular website from the beginning. Okay, so that's all from the demo perspective from the Express and Cosmos DB. Okay, so that was our first lab, which we tried to. I think this was the simplest what I can bring through from the Cosmos DB and the Mongo API. Okay, this is just capturing the website hits. Now the other lab which we have is on Java. Okay, from the application perspective, and Cosmos DB, here we are using the SQL API layer. Now the difference between both of them, now here it is used as a document store. That means complete document, the way we access the details of a specific task, or I would say a specific related information related to any particular catalog. So those are all the specific use cases of the document DB. And if you want to learn about more use cases for how that was, I think you can refer to our previous session, which was on concepts for this NoSQL. So there I've covered basically what all 3 or 4 semi-structured data we have, and right from the graph till document store, then using the key value and the column database. So those all use cases from the semi-structure perspective you can go through while you are working on NoSQL as a database. Now again, same thing, going through. Now this was on the branch of Node.js and Cosmos. Now this is in the Java and Cosmos DB. So let's try to implement that as well before we actually do the hands-on lab. Now again, you have repository in this particular branch, which is nothing but Java Cosmos DB, and the from the ARM or the service deployment perspective, you have parameter files as well as the template file here. Okay. Then from the respective contain, or I would have from the source perspective, you can see this particular repository hole, but the important files from the database is in the Cosmos layer, which is nothing but more of the way you have worked in the .NET Core MVC model. Here you have MVC for the Java. Okay, so you have the applet for the Java and you have the model. The important thing to note here from the Cosmos DB is the data access objects, which are nothing but again the Java files, which we are using for connecting to the Cosmos DB from the Java. Okay, now the way you have seen in Express and the way we interacted, that we need some kind of a connection string. Here also you will need what kind of the host you are interacting with. Okay, so in this particular file, I'm actually providing the host to which you are interacting, and then also the key through which you are actually connecting to that Cosmos DB. Okay, from the coding perspective. The rest all Java files is actually the work we are doing for updating the task. Okay, so while you go through each of them, you will see that we are actually importing the respective packages and the classes. If you are well versed with the Java as a engine, and we are connecting to the database and the collection what we have seen in that particular file before. Okay, and this is a Cosmos client, and so there are n number of things to look at how we are actually updating the database using code. Okay, and with the help of the workflow, we will automate this all implementations step by step. Okay, so again here, the variation here is now previously you have seen just one workflow doing all of them. Here I have kept it separate so that you can see the service creation in one step, and then following from there, we are going to update that code in the next step. That is the reason you see the one is a resource creation README, which is kind of a trigger which I will use. Similarly, the deploy or build Cosmos is the other trigger which I will use. Okay, so now let's look at the workflow itself. So resource creation, again, if you remember the GitHub Action workflow syntax, name and the trigger, that means on what it should get triggered, I have mentioned a specific branch, and the path through which it can trigger is resource creation file. Okay, and the environment variables here are very specific on what I want to do on Java and Cosmos, and using that specific location. Now the job name here is resource creation. I want to make sure that this runs on Ubuntu machine, and this code should be checked out to that particular machine so that I can use this as a automation engine, right? So the first thing which I need on Azure is obviously the login, which I'm doing with the secret, and then this is nothing the service principal, so which I will show you just in a moment once I finish that. Okay, and then going ahead is the deployment of your ARM template. Okay, now coming to the secret which I have shown you, just going back to that secret. Here is a secret. That means exactly the parentheses which I have shown you. So you need that, like say something, if you are creating new here, you just give that name here and then complete parenthesis you copy here and click on add secret. So that is how you will actually do that. Okay, so now coming to the coming again to the lab. Okay, so so I'm coming to the Java Cosmos DB and then the workflows. Okay, so this was on resource creation. Okay, so this is what you will do at first. Okay, now let's do this first and then we will do a step-by-step update for the actual build code of Java. So let me go back and trigger this particular workflow. First of all, again, as a check, let's go back to the resource group and see there is nothing on the Java. Okay, specifically for Cosmos. So we do have a Node.js on Cosmos, but not on Node.js Java Cosmos. Okay, so that is the first check which I am performing. Now let me do the README resource creation trigger. Again, the same thing, the concept remains same, that we are using GitHub Actions workflow to create Azure services for Java application and Cosmos DB as Cosmos as a DB. Okay, so just applying the commit to that. Now, if you see, now we have the resource again getting created using that particular workflow. So this is exactly the same thing, service principal and everything. It will fetch from my secrets, which I've just shown you in the settings, and then it will log in and authenticate me to that cloud. And then using CLI, I'm just creating a resource group, and then following thereon, I'm just using the ARM template to deploy the other services. So that concept remains same. So meanwhile, you can also, once you have that resource group created, first of all, let's wait for the resource group to create. I think it is now going through that. Yeah, got it succeeded. The name is Cosmos HOL, Vijay Java Cosmos HOL. So let's refresh here now. Still to be there. Okay, so Vijay Java Cosmos HOL resource group is there. Cosmos DB account is created now. Slowly the other resources will also appear here. So from the NoSQL perspective, two things to note here is, first of all, everything is stored for the database as code. The way you interact with it, where you update it, purely depends upon your application engine and how you actually create your workflow. Okay, and for you to interact, the way we have done a substitution or substituting the code on fly, that is how you can do or update your secrets, or you can keep the secrets in the GitHub action secrets as well. Okay, so that is how you will actually keep it secure, code secure, and nothing is being used from that particular files. Okay, from the security per se. Other thing is, while you interact and do your day-to-day job on that particular use case, you should have some persistent and know where exactly that is getting saved. Now, as Cosmos DB itself is a semi-structured, so any 4 formats it can take. That means it fits all the open source as well as, I would say, the different semi-structured data structures, right? And data formats, like right from your key value pairs or whatever you been using for Azure storage or table storage. Similarly, also looking into from the graph perspective, or looking at from the columnar Cassandra as well. So depending upon the use case you are implementing, I think you just have to play around with the workflows and see what actions fit best for you. Okay, so now we have done with our first, which is the resource creation. Now, as I explained you in the documentation itself, what I will require from here is I will need the from the Cosmos DB specific require the host as well as the connection string. Okay, so let me fetch that from the keys, and the URL is nothing. This is your host. Okay, so URI is nothing but your host. This is I will use. Similarly, I will need this primary key. So let me copy the primary key because I think URI is already there in my code because I have did this before. So, but then also let's go to that branch and go to the source, data access objects, Cosmos client factory. I have exactly the same thing for URI, which is the host. Let me just replace the key. So again, you can do this in a similar fashion or format, the way I replaced using variable substitution at runtime. But I am just showing you the options which you can take while connecting to this particular application with the database. Okay, so now I'm done with exact what I have as a part of the connection string in Cosmos. So that code is there. So now I'm good to go ahead and actually run the other workflow, which is for build and deploy. Okay, so for that workflow, build and deploy, I need to do the trigger on readme deploy Cosmos. And what it does, again, setting up that version for Java, and I'm using the Maven for the project POM deployment. Okay, so it will fetch from that particular code. Okay, so that does that installation and give me the artifact, which is nothing but the var file, and I am uploading that to be stored so that I should be able to use them while I deploy that on Azure website. Okay, so one important thing which you will note from the previous is previously I was using some actions to doing web deploy, but in case of var, I have to actually do this deployment directly on the API layer. So that is the reason I'm not giving a path of directly just this in Azure website. I'm also giving the source control, okay, manager, and then API layer for var deploy. So this is the biggest change, would I say, right? While you deploy this particular var file, you can do this manually and see in FTP as well. And while you're using this workflow, make sure you run this, get a specific username and password. That is important for me to actually authenticate to that website at the API layer. Now this username and password I will show you while I do the deployment on that website, and I am fetching that the code, which is nothing but the var file from the GitHub workspace, which is the Java sample snapshot var to be deployed on this particular website which I have created. Okay, so now let's do that so that we understand how it is getting created at the backend. So Now again, for me, the README is deploy. So I would update it saying that I'm now building code and deploying to website. Code and deploying what? WAR file. Okay, so also, if you are doing it for first time, make sure your workflow files are on this folder itself, otherwise they will not run. It has to be in .github/workflows for them to get triggered based on whatever configurations we have kept. Okay, so now let's look at the steps it is doing. Now I think it is building the project exactly the same way which you do on your IDE, irrespective of whichever IDE you are using. It is doing now on the cloud, building the code for me, and it will create a WAR package, which then I will deploy on the website. So this is nothing but going through that API layer and actually getting that WAR package on this particular website. So that was around 18 MB or near to 19 MB. So that is what it's showing, 18.6 megabytes. Also make sure this authentication is different. I will show you in the website from where I have got this authentication and where I've stored those variables as well. Okay, so now this deployment is complete. Now to show you what username and password, I have actually had a GitHub secret username and password for that. Okay, so this is the password which I've kept. Similarly, there is also a username which I've set. From where I've got that, we go to the app services. For you to do any deployment, just go to the deployment center. And this is across your app service as a platform layer. Okay, so if you go to the FTPS credentials, so this is what I'm using currently, username and password. Okay, so this I'm using across my API layer to authenticate to this particular website. And this I have stored as a GitHub secret. Now coming back to the actual website and actual how it should look like. Okay, so two things to note again. One is your website itself, which is giving you the front end layer. So this is nothing but the task it has to perform. Okay, so this is nothing but you are capturing the task as a document structure in your Cosmos DB. Okay, but this is just the front end layer. Let's see back end whether we have any collection created by whatever we have updated so far. If that is not there, I think this will not going to work for us. It is still to create the connection layer for us. Now it is. So we have the container, which is test collection, test DB. Okay, and respective RUs are nothing but the kind of throughput or read write units which you have in a Cosmos DB. Now I should go ahead and say that yes, this is for Java Cosmos DB lab, and this is part of NoSQL. Okay, kind of a task category. Once I click on add task, now that particular task, while you refresh, should show in your to-do list. Once that is complete, you can click on complete and update that task. So that is how this persistent layer, now whatever we're trying to build on, is actually using the Java as an front end web app for us, and the Cosmos DB here it is the document store